The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Going somewhere and not knowing the language is usually just a little embarrassing. It doesn't usually make you a serial killer, right? Amber and Scott discuss I Don't Understand You. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
So that brought new meaning to the term, it was a dark and stormy night, because it was dark.
This was definitely a dark comedy for the books.
This was like damn near pitch black dark.
Alrighty, folks. This episode, we are talking about I Don't Understand You. Dom and Cole, a couple on the verge of adopting a baby, embarked on an Italian vacation. Everything is picture perfect. It's going well until they get lost on their way to dinner. Their car gets stuck in a ditch, leaving them stranded in rural Italy. And it's raining, and they basically go on an adventure after that. I'm improvising here because this is a terrible description. Yeah. So
How is it people that write descriptions aren't?
They're really bad at it, and they obviously don't watch the movie, because when I read this, I have to cut out things that actually aren't true. And that happens a lot in descriptions, is they literally say things that aren't true.
I wonder where they get that from. Like, is it provided, like, does AMC write them, or does the studio provide them? I don't know. I would hope the studio wouldn't provide it if it's that bad.
They are incorrect an alarmingly frequent amount of time, considering they are the one supplying the information and showing the movie, and they frequently say things that just aren't true. Anyway, so our two main characters, a delightful gay couple who have been trying to adopt a baby for 3 years, and they are going to Italy to celebrate their wedding anniversary. And long story short, they wind up having a mom select them while they're in Italy to be her baby's child. So they're all happy, and they're going out to an anniversary dinner that
Wasn't what they planned.
That
but
was his dad's best friend set up for them at a rustic rural restaurant out in the middle of nowhere. And chaos ensues. So much chaos. So much chaos.
Ooh, that is putting it lightly.
Yeah, so just in a nutshell here, they get lost on the way, their car gets stuck on mud, it starts raining, they wind up getting help from a stranger, but there's a language barrier because they don't understand Italian, and they wound up coincidentally winding up where they were supposed to go, which was this restaurant, which is actually probably very similar to a lot of places in rural Italy. It's basically a woman's home, and she has an area set up that's the restaurant, and she hasn't cooked or had the restaurant open for at least a year because her son died. So this opportunity to cook for them has brought her back to life. She's so excited, but again, they don't understand her because she speaks Italian.
Yeah.
And
like one of them speaks a tiny bit of Duolingo Italian, and the other one not at all.
Exactly. So sometimes based on her gestures, they think she's upset or she's insulting them, but really she's upset about something else. So they have this whole big communication barrier, and then the electricity goes off, and clumsy Cole falls in the darkness and stumbles into her and accidentally pushes her down a flight of stairs, and they, air quote here, air quote, kill her. And
I mean, there was a lot of cracking.
And that was the first of several accidental oopsie kind of deaths.
Oopsie stabbed you twice in the shoulder.
Yeah. It was...
Oopsie ran you down
after
trying to stab you with a pitchfork.
Yeah, and then oopsie just ran somebody down. So the murder toll here was 4, and some of those they thought were dead, and they didn't kill them the first time, but then they accidentally successfully killed them the second time. So, yeah. And it was just so absurd and so twisted, and a lot of good what would you do's.
Yeah, let's start with it's 2025. I'm going to have some form of an AI language translator with me.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, like those things.
It's so much easier nowadays.
Yeah, these days you literally can just like have like an AirPod in, and people will speak, and it will translate it to you, and then you can reply. Now you're replying in English, so if they don't have a translator.
But you don't even need it anymore. You can literally say things and it'll come out the other way. There are so much advancements. I know.
Yeah, if you have a speaker that can speak it back.
Yeah, I mean your phone can serve as that speaker.
Yeah, I'm just saying that if two people have it, you literally don't even need a device, just like an AirPod.
Yeah.
It'll hear it and translate it.
It's
pretty crazy.
Yeah, even from when we've traveled in the last couple of years and dealt with translation, now it's just not as big of a deal. So, yes, what would you do? Have a translation app as much as you want to learn through Duolingo, realizing that you have limited command of the language, have a tech tool to help you communicate well.
I remember I went to Mexico in 2014. Mm-hmm. I did not speak Spanish. I mean, I could pick up some words here and there, but I mean, I can't speak it at all. But I went with a guy, who's, I'm very white. He was probably whiter than I was. But he actually did speak Spanish. So we could work. I mean, he could navigate a taco stand, stuff like that. And then I went back in 2015 without anyone. And it was interesting because the translation stuff had just maybe started to hit a little bit, but it still was really bad, and no one was expecting you to use anything like that. And it can be hard, like if you just don't know the language at all.
Well, and you and I, if you recall, actually went to Mexico in 2022, and we did use a translation app and had some success sometimes with it, but when we really were trying to get somewhere on time, I remember it just wasn't doing the job, and we couldn't find some place, and we couldn't communicate. So yeah. So my next what would you do here, and there's so many to choose from, is, hey, if you accidentally kill someone, what would you do? Don't do anything that these two men did. Don't do anything.
Move the body.
Don't move the body.
Do not touch the body.
Yeah, so
unless you're doing like legitimately if you're trying to do CPR, that's fine. But do not attempt to move the body to a different location.
Yeah, so Anna, I believe was her name. She fell down the stairs, and they weren't sure if she was alive. They tried to do CPR, didn't have any luck, and then wound up breaking her ribs in the process. And then they're like, well, let's carry her upstairs. Right there, bad move. Why would you do that? There's nothing good that comes from that. Why would you do that? Whether you're trying to get away with something or you're trying to actually get help or tell the truth, leave the body be. Why would you move it?
Like, there's a point at where you are legitimately innocent at first, like no actual liability. And then the more you screw with it, the more you actually are just like basically saying, yeah, just give me all the liability. Make me look like an absolute freaking murderer. I mean, oh man, I did not want them to get a happy ending.
Well, I'm sure they didn't, because at the end of the movie, when you think it ends, they kind of show someone else getting falsely arrested. But the person who got falsely arrested actually knows the truth. So it's only a matter of time until it catches up with them.
Maybe. I mean, but, are you going to extradite them to Italy?
I don't know. Anyway, so as I mentioned earlier about kill again, there were many times that the accidental killings or intentional killings did not catch. And so they'd realize, oh, gee, this person's still alive. For example, when they accidentally, again, based in I don't understand you, they didn't really make that really clear, but it was based on the fact that they didn't understand anything anybody was saying. So Anna's son comes, and he does speak English, but it's also his second language.
With a thick Italian accent.
Yeah, so he sees one of their phones that says you're going to be a dad, and he keeps saying you're going to be dad, you're going to be dad.
No, but we don't want to be dad.
And they heard dead because of the accent. You're going to be dead because he had a knife. I don't know why. Why did he pick up a knife?
Yeah, why is he swinging a knife wildly? I mean.
Yeah, he
Don't swing a knife wildly. There was no reason. Like
he had
seriously,
a
what
bottle
was the
of
purpose
wine.
for it?
He had a bottle of wine. If he had had a corkscrew, I would have understood, but definitely it didn't make any sense for the son, Massimo, to have the knife. So as he's waving this knife, he's saying, you're going to be dead. You're going to be dead. You're going to be dead.
You can use a knife to pop a corkscrew, but yeah.
So at that point, Cole thinks that his husband Dom is being attacked, stabs Massimo in the neck,
which would make sense because they've killed his mom.
Yeah, and
so,
he was outside, so he doesn't know what's transpired.
Doesn't know whether or not he's figured it out.
Yes, so Cole stabs Massimo. Massimo falls, and then he starts getting upset, rightfully so, because what the hell? He was just congratulating them on being a dad. And then Dom proceeds to then stab him a second time. And then they think he's dead. They bring him back to life through CPR. This works. And then they get a call from the mom whose baby they're getting. So in an attempt to quiet him during their Zoom call, Dom puts his hand over Massimo's mouth while, he's has blood in his mouth, he's trying to breathe, and then pretty much kills him that way. So,
I mean, let's be honest. He wasn't. It doesn't matter. He was not living. The dude, they had hit seemingly some major arteries of some point.
Yeah, there was a lot of blood.
Like he wasn't gonna. Like, yes, they might have sped up his death by like 2 minutes.
So now let's go to what would you do? So you kill this woman who was making you dinner in her home. It is an accident, even though Cole was insanely clumsy and knocking her over, but understandable. You make all the wrong decisions here, and you bring that woman upstairs. You hide her underneath a table, and then you realize this guy comes in, that's her son, and he's sitting at the table with his dead mom under the table, and he doesn't know that. So at that point, what would you do? Because if she had still been downstairs, you could have said, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. There's been a terrible accident. But at this point, you've moved the body. You've hidden her under the table. What would you do when Massimo comes walking in the door and you realize it's her son?
This gave me very, very bad things vibes.
Yeah, I thought that same.
Where it was.
Yeah, the movie Very Bad Things. If you
have one accidental murder, and then you're having to cover up, and then cover up, and then cover up, and I mean, in fairness, that first murder and that one was probably a little more on him than otherwise. But
what do you mean the first murder?
Oh, well, I mean, he put a hooker's head through a towel rack.
Oh, Very Bad Things.
Yes.
Movie. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't with you.
Yeah, no one was having.
I don't remember the
rough
details of that
bathroom
one.
sex with this old lady. So,
okay.
So, but I mean, assuming you've already done the stupid thing and moved her upstairs,
you're kind of stuck at that point because you can't explain that. You don't look innocent once you start hiding.
Yeah, as soon as you hide a body,
it's over.
You're screwed.
Even if, and at that point, okay, yes, it was an accident followed by a series of terrible mistakes. But when you hide a body, I think it's all over.
Yeah, it's.
And here's the funny part. Okay, obviously spoilers, guys. She's not even really dead at that point.
Yes, she is. I don't.
She comes back later in the film.
Well, I think that she might have been doing an impression of me.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy the zombie. She was not a zombie. This is not that kind of film.
But no, seriously, it was. Jimmy. It was like she went crack when she went down. She went crack to the CPR. Her head went crack. There's no freaking chance in real world that lady's not dead.
She's resilient. She could have some broken bones and still be alive and just have been knocked out.
Like, yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you just have to be like, well, we didn't plan to be murderers, but we're murderers. So.
And it keeps getting worse because then after they killed Massimo, his fiance walks in on them as they're standing over his bloody dead body. She screams, murderers, and she runs away. And at this point,
What the hell's Cole doing at this point?
yeah, at this point, Cole chases her and then basically gets like
Progressively more deadly weapons in his hand. Goes from a bottle to a shovel to a pitchfork.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, so at this point he's going to intentionally kill her because at that point you have 2 dead bodies, a third person who shows up as a witness. At that point, I guess you got to kill her, right? What would you do? I guess you got to kill her.
Panic's a bitch.
So unfortunately,
when you start panicking, you make really bad decisions.
I mean, but he seemed pretty calm though.
And then, well,
he seemed
he
more
wasn't.
rational than he had in the whole film.
When you start panicking, you start making bad decisions, and when you make bad decisions, you tend to panic more, which makes more bad decisions, which leads to more panic and more bad decisions, and it's just a really bad spiral. And at a certain point, you're just like, I'm so far down this hole, it's not even funny.
Yeah, so at that point, you think, oh my gosh, okay, Cole at this point is going to intentionally kill someone since he has a pitchfork at this point. And as she runs out of the building that she's in, it turns out that Dom accidentally hits her with the car because he's trying to avoid hitting a goat. So womp womp, murder number 3.
I mean,
so at that point, what would you do?
At that point, it's murder. So I think we have like, at worst, like, I'm losing it from a legal perspective here. You have it's not homicide. What's the thing? That's
manslaughter.
Manslaughter. You have like a third degree manslaughter on the first one. At worst, a third degree manslaughter. So like, yes, you touched her, she fell. Maybe, but honestly, probably not. That one's probably fine.
Yeah, because it would have been a documented power outage that someone could have verified that, hey, it was dark. It was an accident. Yeah. And at that point, I mean, even if you were worried about getting caught, you didn't have to be part of that scenario. It was dark. She accidentally went down to the stairs. If you were trying to extricate yourself from that altogether, it was dark. Entirely possible.
Yeah, the second one's probably more like a first degree manslaughter or even possibly Class C homicide. Because there was stabbing. One could argue self-defense,
but it was self-defense of others.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm guessing. And I mean, I'm probably
don't come to us for your legal advice.
Yeah, don't. And you're probably looking at a first or second degree manslaughter in the third one because they legitimately was trying to avoid the goat, but probably driving too fast for what should have been there.
What would you do in that case, though? Because the fiance opens up the door and sees them and screams murder and runs off because she thinks she's next. What would you do if you were either Dom or Cole in that?
Here's the problem. At a certain point, when you have 3 manslaughters...
Well, that point is too.
They're going to start looking at those and being like, how did they accidentally kill 3 people?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you're just guilty as hell. Get the fuck out of the country.
So at that point, you let her run away? I mean, the cops certainly would have arrived a lot sooner than the next day if she had gotten away and called someone. I don't think they would have made it out of the country.
I can't justify murder to cover up something I've done. I just can't justify murder. Even if it's, accident, whatever, like I can't justify killing somebody else only because they have seen something and they might have some bad intel.
Well, that gets rid of about 75% of films if you can't kill someone because they saw you do something bad.
Well, yes, but that's why we do Cinema IRL, the show where we ask the question, what would you do? Not what would you do if you were in the movie. So yeah,
So you wouldn't chase her and you would just flee.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I would do at that point. You have a language barrier. You're clearly not going to be able to communicate to her. Listen, huge misunderstanding. Like, there's too many dead bodies. You're just not going to be able to explain that one.
Once you get past the first dead body, it gets harder to explain multiple deaths.
You just get... You do what they did. You get out of the country as quickly as possible and hope to make it out.
But not before taking out victim number 4 and arguing about a seatbelt and accidentally hit a guy.
That right there is the homicide, because that one is just them not paying attention. I mean,
that's manslaughter. They were arguing about the seatbelt. They hit him and
but
ran over him.
they were being careless.
Well, it wasn't premeditated. It's not murder.
Well, no, it's not first degree murder. It's like third degree, but it's still like that's when manslaughter is generally
something happened by accident.
Yeah, by accident. Like, but that one you're just not paying attention. Like you're going
a little frazzled from already killing 3 people.
You're going at a slow pace. No, there's just you can't justify that one.
Okay, so what would you do? So you've gone through this process where the first 3, you realize now that, oh my gosh, through your arguing about the seatbelt, you have actually hit somebody else and killed somebody else.
I'm still going to the airport. I mean, at that point, you're so screwed. You're just so screwed. You're just hoping to get out of Italy and get to the U.S. and hopefully be able to explain something and hope you don't get extradited.
Okay, so my last very important, what would you do?
Oh, I know what this one is.
Cole is a vegetarian. It has been established early on that he's a vegetarian. They're going to a
restaurant. Meat in 15 years.
Yes, and they're going to a vegetarian restaurant, but then they end up getting diverted to this woman's home to eat in her restaurant in her home, and she serves pizza with horse meat on it. And
now, in fairness, they probably didn't realize it was horse meat.
No. They didn't realize that because
they could tell it was meat.
They couldn't understand her, but it was obvious that it was meat. And Dom has a bite of it, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. And he realizes it's meat, of course, because he's actually eaten it, and tells Cole to eat it because it's rude if he doesn't.
Screw you.
F you, Dom. What the actual F? So your husband, who's been a vegetarian for 15 years, you're going to encourage him to eat meat because you don't want to hurt this random stranger's feelings?
I will say, in fairness, this is actually one of those times where it matters what kind of vegetarian you are. If you're a health vegetarian, I think that's fine. But my guess is if you haven't had a bite to eat in 15 years, it's not just health. There's an ethical aspect to it as well.
Well, it could certainly be health. But at that point, regardless if it's health or ethical, like I'm an ethical vegetarian. If you want me to eat an animal, you may as well ask me to eat a human. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, and there's under no scenario ever that I would be like,
yeah, eat it. It's rude if you don't have it.
I mean, I potentially could say fake it. See if you could.
What you eat around the meat. You take a couple of bites and you just don't eat the meat.
Yeah, you've just fake it a little bit, or just whatever. But no, I'm never going to say you. It's rude if you don't put that dead flesh in your mouth.
And even if he was vegetarian for health reasons, the fact that a husband would pressure his husband into doing something, and he even at the last minute even objected. It was like, well, it's not like I've been doing this for 15 years, but yeah, okay. So shame on Dom for telling him to eat the pizza.
Shame on Cole for eating it.
Shame on Cole for having a weak spine and not standing up to his husband saying, yeah, no, I've done this for 15 years. I'm not gonna bend right now, whether it's for health or ethics.
He clearly he wasn't that principled if he ate it that quickly.
Yeah, that scene was.
I mean, I think all you have to do is you just look vegetano.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like vegetano.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to eat horse. Well, that's and that's not an insulting thing. It's just, I don't eat this for ethical reasons.
Because someone who had a gluten allergy wouldn't just eat gluten because they didn't want to be rude to someone. It is, whether it's what degree of choice it is, if you say you don't eat something, number one, stick to that. Number two, if someone tells you they don't eat something, do not ever pressure them to eat that thing.
Yeah, and here's the thing. if you're an ethical vegetarian, at a certain point, you're going to be a health vegetarian too, because not trying to bring up anything horrible, but I've seen you accidentally put meat in your mouth.
Oh yeah.
And I have seen, the absolute, it broke you emotionally. Like, it absolutely broke you emotionally, as it should have. It absolutely should have. Like, your reaction was not abnormal, but it was, you were hysterical.
Yeah.
Because that's not what you do. And when you're that way, you're just like, this is like one of the commanding principles in my life, and I've just broken it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a shitty move. You should never do that. I will never, ever. Again, I might say try to fake it, but I will never say eat the meat, ever. Screw that.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.